What if I told you that the most powerful tool in your garden isn't a bag of fertilizer, a fancy pesticide, or that ridiculously expensive trowel you bought? What if I told you it was a simple, living soup, a brew so packed with life that it can fundamentally transform dead dirt into a thriving, resilient ecosystem? This is the story of compost tea. And no, we're not talking about the stinky anaerobic sludge your grandpa might have made by letting a bag of manure rot in a bucket for a month. We're talking about a carefully aerated, scientifically backed microbial explosion. This is about learning to speak the language of the soil itself. Think of your soil not as dirt, but as a vast underground city, a metropolis. In a healthy city, you have workers, builders, police officers, and delivery drivers. In your soil, the bacteria are the delivery drivers, unlocking nutrients and bringing them directly to the plant's doorstep. The fungi are the infrastructure crew, building massive superhighways called hyphae that can transport water and nutrients for miles. The protozoa and microarthropods are the police force, keeping the bacterial population in check and recycling old cells. Now imagine that city gets hit by a disaster, a flood of chemical fertilizers, a drought, or just plain neglect. The population crashes. The workers flee, the infrastructure crumbles, your plants are living in a ghost town, and they're starving, no matter how much you try to feed them. Compost Tea is the ultimate urban renewal project. It's a mass transit system that delivers a fresh, vibrant workforce of billions directly to the roots of your plants, reviving that city almost overnight. So let's get our hands dirty, metaphorically speaking. The first and most critical ingredient is the compost itself. This is your microbial inoculant, your starter culture. You cannot make good wine from bad grapes, and you cannot make good compost tea from bad compost. What you're looking for is well-finished, thermally composted material. It should smell sweet and earthy like a forest floor after a rain. It should not smell sour, rotten, or like ammonia. If your compost is bad, your tea will be bad. It's that simple. This is the foundation of the entire operation. You can use worm castings, which are absolutely teeming with life, or a high-quality, mature garden compost. This is non-negotiable. Now, we come to the heart of the operation, the brewery. This is where most people go horribly, smellily wrong. You will need a 5-gallon bucket, clean, non-chlorinated water, an aquarium air pump, and some airline tubing with an air stone. The air pump is not a suggestion. It is the engine of your microbial brewery. Why? Because the microbes we want, the beneficial aerobic bacteria and fungi, they breathe oxygen. They love it. The microbes we don't want, the anaerobic ones, the ones that cause rot and disease and make that classic putrid smell, they thrive in an environment without oxygen. By pumping a continuous stream of bubbles through your brew, you are creating a paradise for the good guys and making life utterly miserable for the bad guys. You are quite literally brewing a party for the probiotics. Let's build our brew step by step. First, fill your 5-gallon bucket with water. If you're using tap water, you must, and I cannot stress this enough, you must let it sit out for at least 24 hours to allow the chlorine to evaporate. Chlorine is added to our water supply for one reason: to kill microbes. It is very, very good at its job. So, if you use chlorinated water, you are just making a very expensive bucket of compost-flavored water. You've killed the very thing you're trying to cultivate, so dechlorinate your water. Next, we add a food source for our soon-to-be billions of microbial guests. They can't live on compost particles alone. They need soluble sugars and proteins to really throw a population boom. The classic recipe uses unsulfured blackstrap molasses. Why molasses? It's a fantastic, complex sugar that feeds the bacteria, which in turn are eaten by the larger organisms, creating a perfect food web. You can also add a tiny amount of fish hydrolysate or kelp meal to provide a broader spectrum of nutrients. We're talking about a cup of molasses for a 5-gallon batch. Stir it in until it's fully dissolved. The water will turn a lovely shade of brown. Now, for the magic dust. Take about 1 to 2 cups of your high-quality compost or worm castings and put it into a mesh bag. A paint strainer bag from the hardware store works perfectly. You're creating a giant tea bag, tie it off and suspend it in the water, letting it steep. Now drop in your air stone, turn on the air pump, and watch the show. The constant agitation from the bubbles will gently wash the microbes off the compost particles and into the water, while the molasses feeds them, causing an exponential population explosion. And now, we wait. But this isn't a passive wait. This is an active fermentation. For the next 24 to 36 hours, your job is to keep that pump running. You'll notice a thick, creamy foam developing on the surface. This is a great sign. It indicates a high level of microbial activity and the production of beneficial compounds like humic acids. It should smell sweet, yeasty, and earthy. If it starts to smell foul, like rotten eggs or something died in there, something has gone wrong. It means your pump failed, or you didn't use enough aeration and the anaerobes have taken over. If that happens, and I say this with love, pour it out on a weed patch far from your garden and start over. Do not use stinky tea. The moment of truth arrives. After about 36 hours, your brew is at its peak. The microbial population has maxed out. It's now or never. You must use this tea within a 4-hour window of turning off the pump. The microbes are oxygen hungry, and without the bubbles, they will quickly consume the dissolved oxygen in the water and begin to suffocate and die. So, be prepared. Dilute your finished tea roughly 1:10 with more dechlorinated water. So, 1 gallon of tea to 10 gallons of water. You can apply it with a watering can, a sprayer, or through your irrigation system. The goal is to get this life-giving liquid onto your plant's leaves as a foliar spray, and most importantly, onto the soil around the roots. You are inoculating the entire environment. So, what happens next? The results can be staggering. You are not feeding the plant. You are feeding the soil that feeds the plant. The bacteria will colonize the root zone, making nutrients more available. The fungi will weave their networks, increasing drought resistance. The entire soil food web kicks into high gear. You will see improvements in plant vigor, color, and resistance to disease. It's like giving your garden a robust immune system. You are not just growing plants, you are cultivating an ecosystem. You are moving from being a mere gardener to being a conductor of a microscopic orchestra. And that is the most powerful shift you can make. Stop trying to force your plants to grow. Instead, create an environment so rich, so alive, that they simply cannot help but thrive.